Hello there. In the series, How to Conduct a Political Analysis of Your Projects, Programs, and Initiatives, this is the 7th episode. Today, I will talk about one more tool for stakeholder analysis, which is the Salience Model. The titles of all of the previous episodes are on the screen's left side, and links are on the description below. As always, liking and sharing is a free way to support my work. Let's get right into it. In the previous 2 episodes, we have discussed prioritization. The accuracy of your priorities is likely to be higher with more in-depth insight into the priorities. That's the only reason we must analyze stakeholders. Therefore, you must be clear about their requirements, why they are essential for your success, and what is important to them. You define your goals and objectives and prioritize them. You get your team together. You prepare a plan and get started. And then, whatever progress you make, it is based on the understanding developed out of prioritization. In one of the previous episodes, episode 4, I proposed the players engaged in a duel game. I called it a player's paradigm. This duel, in reality, is not a physical struggle. It's a metaphor that I use to represent the conflicting and competing needs and claims of different stakeholders, which frequently collide with each other. There is no way anyone can manage and satisfy every stakeholder's needs, requirements, and requests as per their expectations. You will burn the budget, exhaust the resources, and you will find yourself exactly at the same spot from where you had started your project. You will never be in a position to demonstrate any meaningful progress. Being someone responsible to deliver the desired outcome, you must demonstrate measurable progress. I generally say that the root cause of an incomplete task is more likely to be an excuse, notwithstanding the rationale. What it means is, when it comes to meeting timelines and deadlines, delivery is a must. Therefore, you must prioritize the stakeholders themselves. How to do this, let's see next. Whenever you face difficulties in choosing the right stakeholders and prioritizing their competing needs, think about deploying another tool from your toolbox, the Salience Model. Let's talk about how this tool can help you to sort it out. How it brings clarity about their prominence and importance. It is a method for classifying stakeholders and establishing clarity about who matters for you. Salience is the quality of being particularly noticeable or important. The prominence in the organization. The stakeholder's salience is decided by assessing their power, legitimacy, and urgency in the organization. Power is the ability of a stakeholder to impose their will. Urgency is the need for immediate action. Legitimacy is to assess if their involvement is appropriate. Here, I must mention that anyone who neither has a stake nor possesses authority and power is an illegitimate stakeholder. Most likely, they do not influence the initiative. Each of the 3 parameters, power, urgency, and legitimacy, is represented by a circle. Since a stakeholder can possess all 3, power, urgency, and legitimacy, therefore, in the Salience Model, the circles representing power, urgency, and legitimacy intersect, making it a Venn diagram. This intersection of salience creates several distinct categories and helps identify the stakeholders whose needs and claims have priority. The model lets you decide the relative prominence of a given stakeholder. Let me quickly talk about each section and intersection, and the various stakeholders this model proposes. 1. Dormant. Those who fall in this category have power but not urgency or legitimacy. Therefore, you should be aware of them. However, their claims and needs may not find a place in priorities. 2. Discretionary. The discretionary stakeholders are legitimate, but they have no power or urgency. These are people in your list of stakeholders. You should communicate and hold discussions for information. However, you may decide to give them a lower degree of priority. 3. Demanding. The demanding stakeholders are the ones with urgency. It would be best if you met their needs when asked. They generally have higher and urgent priorities. 4. Dominant. It is an intersection of power and legitimacy. Obviously, their requirements also find a place in your high-priority items. 5. Dangerous. These stakeholders have a dangerous mix of power and urgency. Obviously, you can't afford to mess around when it comes to managing their needs and claims. It would be best if you always do the needful. 6. Dependent. These are legitimate and have the urgency, but do not have the required power. The stakeholders in this category have to be managed well, as they are helpful when you need to leverage their strengths in navigating the organizational complexities. 7. Definitive. Section 7 is the most crucial section of this model. The power and legitimacy intersect here, and combine with an ability to get urgency from the organization. It is the most critical category, and you have to manage their claims and needs appropriately. You must keep them informed, satisfied, and involved. 8. Non-stakeholders. All those who are not direct stakeholders in the project are categorized here. However, when it comes to managing politics, you may find friends, allies, and advocates amongst them. Therefore, it may not be your direct responsibility to keep them satisfied, informed, and involved, and you may have to use your discretion when dealing with them, nevertheless. As it is clear by now, this model considers only those who have power, urgency, and legitimacy, eliminating those without any such attribute. Thus, it reduces the noise in the system. Therefore, the stakeholders with their importance, falling within the intersecting circles of power, urgency, and legitimacy, have the most priority. I will say that the salience, that is the importance and the prominence, must guide the project manager to prioritize the competing stakeholders' needs and claims. Let's now summarize our discussions about the context of stakeholder analysis. The focus of the series is to conduct a political analysis of your project, program, and initiative. For this reason, as a project manager, you should know the movers and shakers. To identify the movers and shakers, we have analyzed stakeholders using the influence and impact, and the power and influence grids. Using these two tools, we have identified those with power, which is about their authority, influence, which is about their involvement and effect on the initiative, impact, which is about their ability to bring change and transformation on the ground. Although these tools have helped develop insights about the power, influence, and impact of the stakeholders of the initiative, they did not help prioritize. However, by now, it must be clear that only prioritization can help us deliver the priorities. Therefore, to bring clarity on it, we deployed a third tool called the Salience Model. To manage and resolve the conflicting and contradicting needs, requirements, and claims of the stakeholders, we used the Salience Model for prioritization. There are other tools also available, which are useful for our purpose. For example, there is one more grid called Power and Interest Grid. We analyze stakeholders for the power they have in the initiative, and their interest in ensuring that the initiative is successful. However, I deliberately did not include it, and you can explore it as an exercise. The Power and Interest Grid looks identical to the two other grids we have seen so far. There might be more tools available that you may be able to deploy to develop deeper insights. As long as the tools you use help you identify the organization's movers and shakers, go ahead and deploy them. In episode 4, I gave you a metaphor of a duel. The players engaged in a constant struggle of move and counter-move, of opportunities and threats, of risks and pitfalls, of needs and conflicts, of demands and struggle. And since we are talking about the political analysis of your project, program, and initiative, you cannot exclude your coworkers from this analysis. In the same episode, I also discussed that your aim in the stakeholder analysis is to identify your allies and opponents, adversaries and advocates, friends and enemies, those who can support in delivering the desired outcome, and those who will not do so, those who bring value, and those who have only noise value. Such an analysis of stakeholders, that is, the stakeholder analysis around the organization's politics, may not be suitable for every initiative. But whenever you have to do it, it's likely to be a one-time exercise, applicable only in unique situations. In your operational context, the organizational changes, or changes in strategic focus, may be a trigger for redoing this exercise. You must be absolutely clear about the priorities as you make progress and develop the solution. With this, we have reached the end of this episode. The description box below contains links to all of the previous episodes. I hope it will help you build allies, friends, and advocates amongst those who are actively involved and carry the ability to bring about change on the ground. Liking, subscribing, and sharing is a free way to support my work. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Bye for now, and see you in the final episode.